You're beautiful.
Now, I want everybody to see what I have in my cup. I know we're live now. It says, do more of what makes you happy. We got to do more of what makes us happy.
That's
Hi,
exactly.
everyone. Talo Falava. I know it's been a while. I've been taking a break for quite some time, for quite a long time. And it's about time for me to come back and do this because I know some of our chat, some of our fatata noanga, some of our conversation, it is so helpful for a lot of people that are watching it. And some of them are asking questions. And believe it or not, some of them reach out to me and looking for their lost loved ones. Can you please find out if I'm Polynesian, and I was moved out to overseas, and I really want to find out where I'm from. Believe it or not, there's so many people who reach out to me with that. So these chat, this conversation, or really, it can be helpful to someone that's listening out there. Welcome, welcome, welcome again. Tafatalo fatu malu iya wa fatas my time. This time I want to say hello to my beautiful guest, the beautiful Lusiana Tuisavura. Lusiana, if I pronounce your name wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Sometimes when you're too excited, you pronounce something incorrectly. And I'm so excited. I have a beautiful guest here with us. She is from the beautiful island of Fiji. Lusiana, I'm going to give you this moment. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the viewers how young you are. This is your moment. This is your moment. See, I'm telling you, we're going to have so much fun. Today is a blessed day. We're going to have so much fun. So go ahead.
Hi, thank you, first of all, Luana, for inviting me to be on your show. I appreciate the gesture, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to come on and to share anything or something that someone will be affected by or may need to hear at this time. So I'm from Fiji. I left Fiji like some 60 years ago, and my parents moved to Hawaii, where my parents were contracted to work for the Polynesian Culture Center. And so as a young child growing up in Laie, I grew up with, we were blessed, my siblings and I, to grow up with many different cultural groups. So we don't only consider ourselves Fijian, we are Tongan and Samoan and Hawaiian and New Zealand and Tahitian at heart, because we've mingled and we were raised with many of our cousins and many of those people from their own island nations. I graduated from Hawaii, but in my formal years, I went back to Fiji for 2 years in my high school time to attend a school in Fiji that was for women, or actually for girls, I'm sorry. And we were raised and learned not only the academics, but Fijian cultures and protocols and songs and dances. And so I was grateful for that opportunity. That 2 years that I spent in Fiji will never be erased from my heart. I now live in Utah. I followed my grandchildren here, and I've lived here for 9 years now. I'm a semi-retired nurse, and looking to maybe find a new career somewhere else. I don't know where, but at this time, I'm pursuing a master's degree in mental health counseling here in Provo, which should start next year. So, yeah, thank you.
Luciana, you said you moved in Hawaii. You moved to Hawaii with your parents when you were 6 years old. You still have a beautiful accent. Some people say
Oh, thank
you
you.
have an accent.
Yeah.
You have an accent. You have like
a lot of people can detect the accent.
I believe it's when the people are grow up in the states and were born in the states, they can detect that we have an accent. I don't even know if I have an accent, but they said I have a
Right.
very heavy accent. But when I spoke to you,
Right.
Luciana, I am I really talking to Luciana from Fiji because she sounds so Samoan? Really, really. You didn't really have a heavy Fijian accent. Of course, we're all from the islands, but we have that different kind of accents with
Right.
us. And so, with your parents were contracted with the
Right.
Polynesian culture. What were they doing?
So my parents, they came with a group of Fijians, and my dad came under the leadership. We came under the leadership of an uncle of mine, the late Ratu Israeli Radule. He brought us to Fiji because the church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, they were looking for families to come to Hawaii and um, to do or to display culture, dances, and songs of the different island groups that they had at the Polynesian Culture Center. And so we were the first group of Fijians that came through, and we were contracted to work there for the church.
So that's where you have that spirit of, because I know you're very strong in the community in Utah, and so grew up in Hawaii, born in Fiji, grew up in Hawaii, and then moved to Utah. You are now in Utah, right?
Right.
You used to be a nurse.
Hmm.
Used to be a nurse, semi-retired nurse. This month we are highlighting stories for the celebration of International Women's. Of course, all of us women are great. Every
Hmm.
every mankind that God created in this world, there's a purpose within us. There's a purpose that we were born with it. We were born with a leadership. We were created with His image. But this month, we are specifically highlighting stories and share stories of ordinary, amazing, beautiful women from all over the Pacific.
Hmm.
And I am honored to have our beautiful Lusiana Tuisavura. And I want to ask you this question. You said you used to be a licensed, or you're still a licensed nurse,
Yes.
even though you're semi-retired. You
Hmm.
still have a lot of energy, huh?
Mm.
I believe it's some of the people that I spoke to. It's that the test, the school, the curriculum to get to be a nurse is getting harder and harder. Maybe
Hmm.
they're not studying, or maybe just that I'm not really sure. Tell me something about that.
When I went to nursing school, like 20 plus years ago, I think it was harder then than it is now. And I say this because there is such a demand for nursing nowadays that there's opportunities to go to school for nursing anywhere in the United States. I'm here in Utah, and I see the many schools that open up. You don't even have to go to a 2 year college. They used to make us do that. Go to a 2 years college to get an associate degree in nursing and then go sit the nursing test. You could. I see ads. Advertisement on social media. Um, Extending invitations to anyone that wants to be a nurse, even older people. So I don't think it's harder now. I think it's easier now and also because the materials and the things that you need to learn and to know about nursing, you can at the tip of your finger, you can go online and you can access that. And so there is so much help out there to be a nurse because the nursing profession is in demand. So I don't think it's as difficult. Difficult. I can't see that being true, but I don't know everything. But from what I see as a nurse now, um, and see how the market um, needs nurses. and there's opportunity everywhere for schooling.
Luciana, I I run a funeral home, and today I had to meet with a father who lost her husband, his wife,
Mm,
and statistically, I mean, we look at statistics. Statistically, they say usually the father is the one that goes first, besides the mother. I mean, when you look at the world, it's more women. It's so many women than men, and I see it in front of a lot of families, and mostly when you weigh down the percentage of men who pass away first than their wives, it's really high. It's really high. Today,
mhm,
I sat in front of a family, and I mentor a family. The husband lost his wife, and the grieving, you can tell the grieving is very different. It's
mhm,
very, very different. He didn't really know what to do. He was lost. He was lost. So my point is, I want to bring this up. And my point is, and I've sitting in front of a lot of families with women who lost their husbands as well. Totally different way. They grieve in different way.
mhm,
Grieve different. There's something about women, something about these women. They are so strong. There's something that we carry inside of us. Of course, the Bible said that we are the helper. But when you look at the word helper in the Hebrew word, it's strengthening. You always
mhm,
look at, when you look at the helper, you look at it as a second person, right?
mhm,
You
mhm,
help as a second person. But in the Hebrew language, a helper is someone that's strengthening
mhm,
someone who needs to be strengthened.
mhm.
Tell me something. What do you think that there's so many women out there who don't really believe in themselves? Some of them are living on the street. Some of them don't know what to do. And I'm hoping you can hear this, because there's that innate power that we carry. We women carry that power. We're really powerful creatures.
Mhm.
Tell me something, Luciana. What is it that is missing?
So, first of all, let me say this, that every woman on this earth is a daughter of a divine God. I truly believe that, and I know that. Um, I learned that at a very early age that every woman that walks on the face of this earth is a divine daughter of a powerful God. And I
Mhm.
truly believe that we, male and female, we are designed differently because we have different purpose here on earth. And from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, that we're designed differently because of the different purpose that we have, and somehow, um, because of our responsibility, because we we carry children and we nurture them, and this is not to look down on the male, part in the creation of a child, but I believe that there's an innate strength that we have that um, men um, may not have, and so um, we're able to, and let's take for instance the the example that you're giving about a husband losing his wife, and they mourn differently. And I've seen it with my own eyes where men seem to be so lost without their wife, because for the many years they've always had them by their side. And you say that they are helpers. I say that they are help meet. They don't have someone beside them to help meet the responsibilities and the obligations they have to do by themselves now. And it can work both ways, but I truly believe a man sense when a woman passes away, when a wife passes away, his her husband can sense that that divine help meet is no longer there to help him meet the responsibility that they have as a couple.
That is beautiful. Thank you. That is so beautiful. It was because in the Bible it says a woman is a helper, right? And I
Right.
always look at it as a helper is someone who is second in demand. And when I find out the meaning of a helper in a Hebrew language, it says strengthening.
Hmm.
It doesn't even say a second person. It doesn't say someone who's behind you, someone on the side, someone who's strengthening. Today I saw that with my own eyes. And what else can you say about what are the ways? Can you tell me any ways that can counteract with the negative stereotype of feminism, especially in the workplace? I
Uh-huh.
mean, of course, in families as well, we always, from the islands, hey, from the islands, they always say, women shush,
Hmm.
find your place. You
Hmm.
see,
Hmm.
that's find your place. Find your place. We always, some of the women, I mean, some of the women are still going through that nowadays.
Right.
Always been shushing away. They always be, find your place and sit at the corner.
Hmm. Hmm.
What are the ways that we can counteract?
So I'm old school. I was brought up in the islands. I remember this, and I saw it in my home where, just like you said, the woman needed to know their place in the family and in society. And so we always kept quiet. And so I had that ingrained in me when I came here to the United States, to America to live. And so that's how I grew up, thinking that my place was always to be silent and to just do what my husband tells me to. But times has changed, and things are different. We live in a different world. And for this is the one thing that we need to recognize, that without a woman in the home or in the world, um, I don't think we would have a beautiful world. God created us because He knew our abilities and our capabilities, and we needed women to make this world functional and beautiful. And in the situation of our culture, I think many women back in the islands, which makes me really happy. Samoa, Tonga, they hold prestigious positions. Fiji, they hold places in parliament. Samoa has a prime minister who is a woman,
Mhm.
if I'm correct. And so I think that that mindset that women need to sit and be quiet is no longer prevalent. But I think in some cultural protocols, so uh, in some cultural, um, let me say, cultural, protocols, there is certain things that only men can do, and then there's certain things that women can do. I don't know about Samoa, but in Fiji, I know that certain things that men can do and that women can do, and we understand that. But when it comes to um, raising a family, when it comes to going to work in the workplace, gaining an education, um, I think we're all at the same level. We can all do the same and still get along. That's why I use the word help meet. We meet one another. We don't go against one another. We don't go above or behind or on the side. We go together. Yeah, we meet one another, and and we conquer together, and we live together, and we learn together. And so a woman's place in society today is way different from it when it was many years ago when I was growing up as a child.
Women has a lot of voice now. We
Yeah,
have so much voice. You can stand up. I mean, not in a negative way, but you have a voice. Use it. And I always remember what my husband say: if women can shut the world down, they can shut it down. If they go and strike, there's no more babies born. That's it.
exactly.
Women, we are so powerful. We carry that power. We are so powerful. I mean, look at me. I mean, take it from the Bible. Take it
Yes,
from the Bible. Look at all these powerful men. David killing thousands and thousands and thousands of men. Now what? One woman. And look at King Solomon. One
right,
woman. I mean, look at Adam. Adam
right,
himself. One woman. I mean, when you even look at Abraham.
right,
Abraham, he loved God.
right.
Abraham loved God. One woman.
And let me speak to that, Luana. And I
Mhm.
don't know how many will agree on this, but look at Adam and Eve, right?
Mhm.
For many, and we're taught in the islands. I don't know about Samoa, but I came out with the knowledge or with the learning that it was Eve's fault that Adam ate the apple, right?
Mhm.
And my perspective on that has changed the many years, the many things that I've learned, have seen, and watched and experienced, and my learning from people that uh, are scriptorians and said, if Eve did not eat that apple, we wouldn't be able to progress today, right? She knew, she saw, she knew she had to, so that they could, without opposition, they couldn't progress. And in life, you look at life today, there is opposition in all things. They were going to stay stagnant in the garden. Eve knew Adam didn't want to do it. Eve did it. And so that's my little shout out for Eve, because I always thought, you know, they always say when they preach in the island, like Eve was no good. She took the apple and she was disobedient, right? But she was amazing. She knew that she needed to take, and even though it seemed like she didn't know, she had an innate knowledge that if she took this, that things would move forward. So
Well, there's so many, there's so many different different ways that a lot of people come in and explain the difference,
right,
what it says about the Bible. And, Eve, and of course, Eve ate the apple and nothing fell apart. And when he
right,
gave it to Adam, everything fell because he was giving the instruction to Adam, not Eve. But
right,
with Eve, she was so emotional. She's an emotional being. She is such an emotion. A woman is such an emotional being. So of course, the devil look at the women. She's very emotional. She's going to take this emotionally to Adam, to her husband. And of course, that's the power that women carries, the power
hmm
that she carries. And he gave that, whatever it is, we call it the apple.
hmm
We just never know what it is. We call it the apple. We don't even know what it is. We call it.
hmm
Um, but my husband always say, if women go on a strike right now, this whole planet shut down.
exactly. I
They
believe.
go on planet right now, everything shuts down. No more babies,
Right.
no more marriage, no more, no mass. Everything shuts down if a woman go into a strike. I mean, it's when you look at it, it's they always see that remember that song? That song I say, this is a man's world. Remember that song? I
hmm
forgot who sang it. Man, women are living. They always say women are living in a male-dominated environment.
hmm
But look at where we are. Just like you mentioned, in Samoa, we have now a women prime minister.
hmm
So many women are coming up in leadership. I
Right.
always, I always think about it. the world it is now because the men are leading it.
Mm-hmm.
What if we give it to the women to lead? Where would it where would it go? I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. I mean, tell me something else. How do you empower yourself I mean in the nursing industry? I know during 2020 it was so needed, and even now it is so needed in this environment and where we are right now in the era we're living right now. It's so needed, the nursing. And I've heard that they needed so many nurses and they're
Yeah,
lack
there's a lack.
during the 2020. What happened with you in the 2020? How did you manage? How did you manage to go over everything that was going on? And I know you were on call 24/7, probably.
Yeah, yeah, especially during COVID. There was such a shortage in nursing, and so the demand was high, and it was on us. It was stressful. Um, I always look at my job. My mom was a nurse. I followed her footstep, and to do the kind of work that nurses do is something that's beyond what anyone can think they can do. You never really, and as a nurse, you really never think about it, because you didn't want to be a nurse because you just wanted to go make the money. I hope not, but because they pay well, but they don't pay well enough for the demand and the stress that we nurses get on the floor. I don't think um, many people don't realize the demand and the stress that we go through as nurses. And at a time when there was a shortage, we had to be there. And I myself was one. I just worked, like, because they needed nurses. And if the nurses didn't come in, then who was going to take care of these people? That was
Mhm,
always
mhm.
my thought, was like, well, who's going to take care of them if I'm off tomorrow and they need a nurse and she's not coming in? I'm going to come in. And so I put myself on the line, which, in the long run, I know is not good. But at the moment, we don't think like that. We just think about, because we're so wired to nurture, to care for, and um, to nurse them. We go out there and we nurse, and I know they say, you're tired, you can't uh, do your work the way you're supposed to. True, but the compassionate part, the loving part, that part can never be. You can never get tired when you give that, when you have compassionate towards a person, when you serve with love. That part doesn't go away easily. And even being stressful doesn't take that away when you see the need to give it, when you see a person in need to have it. And I've experienced that a lot, working here in Utah, because it's way different than caring for um, our own old folks from the islands. We all have a share in that. But I've been in this profession where I see parents get dropped off and they never see their children again until it's time for them to come in, and and I and time for them to come and say their goodbyes, or to come and call the mortuary to come and pick them up. and
Mm.
and that's something that's always pulled hard on my heartstring, because I always think of my patients like that. Who's going to see them off? Who's going to take care of them if their own families don't come and do it? And so the demand was there, and we did the best we could to feel the demand. And so I think, like you said, how do we do that? We just, I know it's an innate quality that we have, that we push and we push and we give, and we give and we try to give the best we can, the best care that we can to our patients. Yeah.
You mentioned that we're wired differently. That's it. We are so wired differently. And for an example, my mother, with care and love. Father is so church. Father is like a church of the family, huh?
Yeah.
So, what do you think men need to do to help bring the equality? I mean, from a man's perspective, I know, but what do you believe that men need to do to help to achieve equality? Between us.
I can only like speak from an island's perspective, right? From the islands, because that's such um, an mindset that's been there for a long time, that it's almost like it's cultural, that men are always we are women are subordinate to men, right? That we listen, and I don't know if educating them would change that mindset for those that come from the old school mindset, that teaching them that we're equal, teaching them that you need to help, wash the dishes and clean the house and care for the children, because it's both our responsibility. I don't know if that's going to help when we, especially if you're old school. But I know this much, that as as a time changes, I see this in Fiji also, that young kids are growing up um, and gaining an education, and it's my hope that when they gain that education comes with the learning that um, when you're married in a household, you're one in creating a family and taking care of a family, and that when you go to the workplace, that a woman can also be a CEO, and not only like the men, be a CEO, not the women. And so I hope that mindset changes over the years, over time, um, and I think if our men can grasp that, um, that's going to help change some mannerism of how we carry on life in the islands, especially relationship, and hope that that the generation to come, they can teach their children that equality is what will make things better and make a family more wholesome than having one above the other.
Pursuing a master in mental health
Mhm.
counseling. What drives you there? Is there anything that you see with the Polynesian community that really, really needs a lot of help there?
Pursuing a master in this field, this was something that came to me many years ago, and I didn't pay attention to it. I believe God directs my life. I know that God directs it, and so I didn't listen. I've always, when working in the nursing field, I've always pulled towards mental health. Mental health has always been my strength, my discipline. And so I put it off for so many years, and then I feel it coming around again one more time. Maybe God is saying, "This is your last chance. Do it now." So I just feel there's such a need for this in speaking of the island and the Polynesian people. There is such a need for mental health care. And I've seen this. We look at it and we dismiss it. We look at it and we are ashamed uh, to admit that there's help that is needed here. And so I just think that the little help that I can give will help someone, will save someone's life, and so this is why I went this route. I've seen many um, of our Polynesian island people don't not understanding what they're going through. Mental health is like anything, is a disease, and it needs to be treated. And many times we don't think of it like that. We think of it like we tell our children, hey, just suck it up and move on, you know. But depression is a big thing. Um, and here in Utah, suicidal death is a big thing. And so if it's big here, just imagine in the islands, they don't have the facilities, or not as upgraded. They don't have the medication that we have here. Hopefully they do now, if I don't know what I'm talking about. But um, the when I've been in Fiji the last time, um, I didn't see any huge change in the mental health issues back in the islands. So my hopes is that I can help in that capacity, and there is a great need for it, a very great need for it.
I interview a young woman from Samoa. She is one of she's a founder of a program, a nonprofit organization program that's in Samoa, and I believe it's all over the world. And she mentor the youth. She mentor young women and young men. And during, so I interviewed her during the, I think it was, I believe it's around the COVID.
Mm.
And from what was really an ear, from what was really catch my attention was she said during that time there were so many suicidal with the young children. The age is getting younger and younger.
Mhm.
We, the islanders, and so I asked that question. I mean, I believe in family orientation. I believe in being around your family. I believe in going to, to learn the word of God. I believe in all of that. It's always good to be around people and talk about it. And why is it now during the COVID? She says so much, it shoot up so high. It shoot up so high. And I said, but why? I mean, when before the COVID, the kids are outside, they're hanging out with their friends, they're in school, they're doing things out in the community. Why now they are locked inside the house? They are now together with their families, hanging out with their loved ones. Why now? She said, Luana, do you know some of the kids are going to school to get away from the people who are abusing them?
Mm.
Some of the kids are going to school to get away from the molester who are molesting them. Some
Mhm.
of the children are going to their friend's house to get away from the people who are really doing these wrongdoings to them. So, like
Mhm.
you said, it's really, really neat. It really, really is needed. And not just outside of the islands, not just outside of the Pacific, all over the world.
Yeah, that Luana is, uh, a stretch. It's a pandemic out there, the molesting of children, abusing of children. And that's one thing, and I'm going to talk specifically to our island life, that when we grew up, and we saw the abuse, and as a wife and a mother, I'm I can attest to that. Um, Abused, and that abusement can cause a lot of um, you know a mental health issues within not only family, in a nation. Yeah. And so we turn to what they turn to, um, here in America, they turn to drugs and suicide. In the islands, because we brought up in the islands, we have nowhere to turn to. We women, and because we're talking about women in this month, we women, we keep it, we bottle it up inside of us because we feel there's no one to listen to us. Yeah, there's no avenue for us to release, and I hope that that's changed over the years. I remember going to Fiji many years ago to do an internship in Fiji, and I was able to land a internship position in the domestic violence facility in Fiji. And what shocked me was the amount of women that came in for help, but there was very little help that they had for them. Educating the men was zero because in Fiji the men had the last to say. And you look who runs the police station, the men. Who runs the uh, who's at the medical centers? Sometimes the doctors are men, and so what chances do we have as women to be heard? And so um, yeah, I I I feel for them. I felt for them. I left that internship just thinking, I don't know how to answer this. I don't know what kind of help we can give here because in Fiji the mindset was still that men overpowered or were we women were subordinate to them, and what touched my heart was the women, because they had no place to go with 6 7 children. Where were they going to go? They remained in the relationship. Yeah, but I'm what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, that there are changes made, and I'm hopeful that the newer generation, the newer kids that obtain education and go back home to help our island people, can make many changes in that um, concept, in that area of mental health and domestic violence and child abuse and sexual uh, harassment or sexual abusement that we many times know is happening back home, and nothing has been done about it.
Luciana, I'm one. My first marriage. I have two children from it. My first marriage was very abused. And I'm
Mm,
not blaming anything, that I was right and he was wrong, and he was right and I was wrong.
mm-hmm,
Coming from someone who had been abused for years and years and years, verbally abused, because in the island sometimes women believes that abuse is only when they hit you.
mm-hmm,
No, of course not. Abuse is when they call you names.
mm-hmm,
Verbal abuse is when they call you names. And I was in there. I was there. Verbal abuse, physical abuse, being hit in the eye, being blooded on the head. I mean, all of that. But like you mentioned before, it was a mindset that we grew up thinking, because we saw it with our own eyes, with our loved ones, with our family. Of course, they're getting hit by their husband and they're still staying with their husband. And of course, it was the same thing with me. And I thought it was right.
mm,
It was right for me to bow down and say, okay, you can do whatever you want with me. You can abuse me, whatever you want. I'm your wife. That's how we surrender to them. Wrong. I'm going to let you know now, women, wrong. If they abuse you verbally, physically, that's not love.
mm,
Because if a man has God inside of him, he wouldn't abuse you. He
mm,
wouldn't hit you. A man wouldn't call you names. A man wouldn't put you down. A man will not verbally or physically abuse you if he has God. And that is the answer that we're looking for. Jesus Christ. Right, 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 right. We are
right.
one of the thing that is the major thing, the most important thing that is missing in this world right now, because they're taking Jesus Christ out of most of the things that we're doing now. They're starting taking Jesus Christ out. Most of them, probably 90% of schools now, they're taking the word Jesus Christ out. You're not allowed to pray. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed. We're taking him out of a lot of things that the world is doing. That's where the devil comes in. So I'm going to give you this last moment. I know our time, we went overboard. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Another time we're going to have Luciana come and join us. She has so much wisdom and knowledge to share with us, and especially the women who are listening, because I know this is a celebration for International Women's Day. And I, I just don't want to stop talking. I love having this conversation. And Luciana, I'm going to give you this moment. What can you tell someone who is out there, a woman that is listening, who really, really needs help, who are living in an abusive relationship,
Mm,
don't know who she is in Jesus Christ,
mm.
and who are living in that environment that is unhealthy, that is unhappy? What can you tell to that woman?
Okay. Well, thank you, Luana, for this opportunity to speak on that platform. Like you, I too experienced abused. I too, because I'm old school, thought I'm just going to stay in this relationship and I'm going to work it out. And God's going to help me change this man, right? And praying and fasting and going to doing all the right things we know we need to do to keep the marriage together, even though it's abusive and it's violent. But I want to say this to anybody that's listening out there that needs to hear this. Like you said, Luana, no one has the right to lay their hands or to be abused or um, to be abused verbally or abused physically. No one has the right to do that to another person. If you believe in a God that created you, then remember this: you are a special daughter. You're a very special daughter of a God that's powerful. And in any abusive relationship, if you have God on your side, you can walk out of it. Um, and when you're walking out, doesn't mean that you're weak, and it doesn't mean that you are prideful. You're walking out because that's the right thing to do. That is the right thing to do. And I speak from experience. I've had to stand up and walk because um, the mental abuse and the physical abuse um, got too much, and I thought, um, I'm not staying in this relationship anymore. And and having said this, Luana, and this is not to feel sorry for our perpetrators, but they too may not um, feel that they need the help that they should get. I always say to a friend or a woman that comes to me and asks for help, I said, it's not you. It's not you. Never devalue you. You are fine. You are a daughter of Heavenly Father. You're awesome. You're beautiful. You're perfect. Yeah. And so stand up and be strong, and then be strong for you. And there's help out there. There's tons of help out there. But this I need to say, that the most help you're going to get, the person that's never going to leave your side, is a God. Yeah, I heard this quote once, and I love it. Um, one of our church leaders said this. It says, when we compare ourselves to God, we are nothing, but to God, we are everything. And so, having said that, God wants you to progress. God wants you to have a happy life. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to have a fulfilling life. He wants you to know that you're special, and he wants you to know that you can attain anything in this world. I've seen people come from the grounds and work themselves up after being in abusive, um, very destructive relationship, and we can do that. We can do that, and just let God into your life, keep him, and he will help you. And I thank you, Luana, for the work that you do. Thank you so much, because it's you, the kind of woman like you, that have platforms like this, that we can come and freely share and help one another, especially we women of the islands. Thank you, Luana. Appreciate you.
Oh, this is what an honor to have this beautiful woman here with us to share her wisdom, her knowledge, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing to have to be able to share something that we all need. I'm learning so much from having this platform. I learned so much from a lot of powerful women, a lot of powerful, and even young adults who
Mhm.
are successful in their business. And I'm learning from them too. Every time I talk to someone, I always pray, God, please give me something that I'm learning from this conversation that I'm going to do right now. And one of the reason why we have these conversations like this, because powerful people like Lusiana Tuisavura, leadership with leadership spirit, we can learn something.
Mm.
You know what they said. If you want to be successful, you got to listen to those that are successful. You wanna you wanna go somewhere. You wanna be with the people who are going somewhere. And now, if you want to be stuck, you gotta hang out with dumb people, with people who are not going anywhere. You're gonna learn nothing. So I want to thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm hoping in the future you're going to give us another opportunity to hear your voice again, to hear your wisdom again, and teach us something that you're going to learn, that we can learn about mental health,
Mm.
because it's really needed.
Thank
It's
you.
really, really needed, and it's also needed back in the islands. And
Mm.
again, thank you for all of those who were listening, who are going to listen, who are going to join us again next week. There's going to be another powerful woman that is joining us. And if you know of anybody that that will love to share their wisdom, just message us. There's so many of you who always message me, oh, can you interview this person? I'm going to be honest. If I don't have the knowledge of that, like politics, man, I don't want to look dumb in there. Just I'm not into politics. Okay, so
Mm.
just make sure that it's not about politics, because I do not. My language of politics is. Whoop, I don't want to embarrass myself. But again, Luciana, do you want to share one last thing before we leave the platform?
Just that, thank you so much, Luana. I encourage you to continue your platform. I encourage you to continue to do the work that you do, because many of us that have things to share, and many of us who don't have a place to go and express and to share these things. um, we would love to come out. I was like taken when you asked me to come be interviewed. I was like, me interviewed? I know nothing. why, would, why would somebody want to interview me? I'm insignificant. But and having said that, this is what I want to just say, that all of us are very significant in this world. Each and every one of us, we have a purpose, we have a responsibility, and we're here for that. And so never devalue yourself, always value yourself.
I love that. See, it's almost the end of our conversation. She said, never devalue yourself. I'm
Mhm.
going to take that. I'm going to run with it. Whew, never devalue yourself. Again, I want to thank you. Join us again next week, and have a blessed week, everybody.
Thank you. Fafetai.
Bye, Lava Luciana.